It is now the beginning of March and we are getting a sneak peek of the Origin Tail cards, which should be coming at the end of the month as they have already announced. So Origin will be a complete rework of Axie Infinity as we know it. We will get a brand set of new cards. We should also get eyes and ears parts. Leading up to the launch of Origin, we'll be releasing sneak peeks of the cards to the community. You'll notice that many of the cards are reminiscent of the current versions with a fresh twist for Origin. What also needs to be noted is that these cards are not final. Those are tentative changes. They might change, so if you are planning to breed a new meta based on these changes, I wouldn't advise to do so, because you might end up breeding something that will not look exactly like it's shown in the images. Please note that these cards are dynamic and will change over time based on feedback from the community and data they collect around relative power. Do not make financial decisions based on these teasers. They are meant to serve as a taste of what's to come in Origin and allow you to start theory crafting. Without further ado, here are the tail cards. So first thing that we are served with is the reptile cards. There are 6 cards, 6 tail cards for every class. So for reptile we have the wall gecko. Currently wall gecko just reduces the damage that you take, whereas with the tail cards for Origin, wall gecko will be losing 50 HP, and it's worth noting that Axies in Origin will have a flat number of the same health points. So I believe it's 125, I might be mistaken here, but losing 50 health is a big commitment. It also takes 30% less damage for the next 4 turns. I'm not sure this equals out for the 50 health that you lose, especially that we see some very high damage cards here. And what's also worth noting is that cards no longer have both the shield as well as the attack. They only have one function. So wall gecko deals 60 damage for 1 energy, and you can clearly see it's an attack card. Another thing that I want to point to is the Axie art team, which is doing a great job in my opinion, because we've seen some sneak peeks of the art that they have done previously and I wasn't too keen on it, but now that I see the set of cards and the work that they have done, it looks very good. Another card that we have is Iguana. Currently Iguana probably the most useless card that you can think of in Axie Infinity, whereas in Origin it will be dealing 70 damage, so higher than the 60 from wall gecko, and it will apply weak for 4 turns. Now weak can mean a couple of things. It could be reduced armor, it could be that it ignores a percentage of the armor. I'm not sure what these stats all will mean, but weak should be some sort of a disarm that makes your opponent a weaker or more suspected to damage. Tiny Dino, very strong card. Currently you can see that it has another thing right here, another symbol, which is retain. It just applies it. This card gains 15% or 15 bonus damage per turn if retained, and it can have a maximum of 4 turns, so it is kind of stacking. So it looks like Tiny Dino will still be played at the back. That's where we should be seeing Tiny Dino if you do manage to retain it. There's probably going to be a set of different cards that has retain as well, and as long as you can retain Tiny Dino, it will be getting more damage. So that's a fun little mechanic that we should be seeing. Snake Jar, another very defensive tail from the reptile right now. The target any ally, so another target card like we have seen in season 19. Negate the next HP loss against the target up to 90 health, so a very defensive tail, but also has some offensive features. It doesn't have any attack and it doesn't have any shield, so it is simply purely defensive and to target with other high damage cards. Now what we will be seeing through these tails, I have looked through them, is that there are a bunch more 2-cost cards. So what we will be seeing is an inflation of energy within the game to complement for the 2 energy cost cards that we will have, and the first one is Gila. Gila deals 40 damage and attack all enemies, deal 2 bonus damage per poison stack on enemy. So again, we might be seeing a poison meta if there is a bunch of cards that do poison your enemy. Having a Gila might be something that you want to do, especially that it attacks all enemies. So effectively this card has 120 attack if you do use it early on, but it might be wiser to hold on as and get those poison stacks up. but we'll see how that works out, especially with the new HP system, that every Axie will have the same HP. And Grass Snake is now a 1 cost that deals 70 damage, and it applies Hex. Now I have no idea what Hex is. It might be some sort of a debuff. It is for 4 turns, so I don't think Hex will be that strong, otherwise it wouldn't be applied for 4 turns. Now moving over to Bug, we see the first defensive tail applied taunt to this Axie for 4 turns, so it could be a interesting, kind of like an eggshell. I believe that's how that's gonna work, like an aroma, so we can play that on the mid lane and then taunt your enemy to hit this Axie instead of the front one that might be dying. Twin tail, it deals 2 hits for 35, so that card actually hasn't changed, except it costs 1 now. Fish snack, target any ally next turn after the target is attacked, apply weak to the attacker for 4 turns. Again, another spell that we see applying for 4 turns, so it looks like the games might be longer. That's what I suspect, because otherwise you wouldn't have debuffs applying for 4 turns, and weak shouldn't be that strong as well if it is being applied for 4 turns. But on the other hand, looks like Gravelant will still be very good, because it applies fear for 4 turns after it is attacked, right? Next turn after the target is attacked, apply fear to the attacker for 4 turns. So it looks like Gravelant will still be very good, and we see a lot of defensive tails on the box. You can see Popeye, Gravelant, Ant and Fish Snack all having defensive statistics. You can see that at the top. If it's blue, it's defensive. If it's red, it's offensive. And Popeye targets any ally, so it looks like they have a lot of target any ally here. Fish Snack, Gravelant and Popeye all have the same trait of targeting any ally. Next turn after the target is attacked, it gains 2 damage boost. So I believe that's going to work the same way as attack up, with just getting another percentage of damage up. And Thorny for 2 energy, 110 attack, so the same as it has right now, or very close to it, but it does cost 2 energy. So it looks like if you want a very high damage card, you will need to make the sacrifice of spending a lot more energy, and it deals 50% more damage against the debuffed enemy. Looking at the bird cards right now, if initial, so I believe if it attacks first, right? That's how I'm interpreting this. 70 attack from Swallow, it deals 15 more damage, so quite a significant amount. That's what, 20% or thereabouts, so pretty much the same as it works right now. Feather Fan, not a big fan of it right now. It's pretty much useless in the current Axie Infinity game. It will cost 2 energy, 35 attack, and randomly deal 4 hits. Your team gains 1 feather per enemy hit. We'll see what feather actually does, but it looks like this attacking 4 times with 35 attack is quite a high damage card, and it's another 2 energy cost, so we'll have to see the mechanics of Origin. We'll see how much energy we are getting, because it has to be more energy that we have right now to complement for all these 2 cost cards. The last one, deal 20 more damage if this is the only card in your hand. Again, incentivizing people to play the cards rather than hoarding them and skipping turns. Cloud, 70 damage. This attack targets the frontmost non-summoned enemy, and we can see what we can see from the tails from the bird. Bird will be a very offensive class. You can see that Bug had 4 defensive tails and Bird has all offensive tails. Grandma's Fan dealing only 25 damage, and it has innate. No idea what that is. If you guys have any suspicions of what that might be, let me know in the comment section down below. Attack all enemies, apply vulnerable for 4 turns. Again, we'll see a debuff that is applied for 4 turns. That makes me believe that the game will be at least 7 or 8 turns every single game. Otherwise, these debuffs are just overpowered. Post-fight, same as it is right now, you lose 35 health. So they are moving away from the percentages, and they are going towards a flat rate. So 100 attack, you lose 35 health, very simple to calculate. Beast cards, now Cottontail, great art on it. Heal any ally, gain I believe it's I wonder whether it's going to be that you can select the ally that you heal, or whether it will be just a random. It gains 1 energy and it also has banish. No idea what banish is, but it is the first 0 cost that we see. We haven't seen a 0 cost tail previously. Both twin tail as well as Popeye have been changed to 1 energy cost, and it heals for 25 from the looks of it. Rise is an attack card that has steal, but it steals health in this instance rather than energy. And they also gain 1 energy if this Axie HP is full. So this is again a very offensive card. You can either use it to steal health or you can use it to gain energy, but you should be playing that early on. Shiba, very high damage card, the highest damage that we have seen so far, not counting the tourney on debuff. 2 energy cost for 130 damage. Your team gains 3 rage if this Axie's HP is below 50%. Now we already talked about rage previously. That was supposed to be the mechanic introduced instead of morale to beasts and mechs, but yeah, again, very useful. We haven't seen so far, I have not seen a completely useless tail. It looks like all of these will have some sort of function. We'll have to verify that in the game, but so far if you look at the Shiba that we have right now, it doesn't really have any use, but it looks like this one just might. Hair, 70 damage if initial, draw 1 card, so same as it is right now. If you attack first, you get a bonus. Nutcracker, all Nutcracker cards of this actually gain 6 damage this battle. For the whole battle, that's quite a long time. If initial, this attack targets the second frontmost enemy. So durable, not really changing that much, but it does have higher damage. Again, it's going to be much easier to balance these cards if you only have 1 stat to balance, right? So you don't have to balance between the shield and the damage as well as the utility. They can just adjust durable to be 65 damage or 60 damage, and that's going to be much simpler to implement rather than having to balance between 3 statistics. Now moving over to Aquatic, Koi, again 2 energy cost, dealing 120 damage, and it deals 15 bonus damage per aquatic ally. So if you have a triple Koi team, might just be worth it. You never know. A triple Koi with some sort of a 0 cost to complement it, and you will have a high damage, very high damage team. Nemo, again, funky little art. Draw 1 card, gain 1 energy, and it also has a banish. So very similar to Cottontail from the Beast set. Tadpole, 65 damage. It shuffles 1 Jinx into your opponent's discard pile. No idea what Jinx is, but it looks like if you're shuffling it into the opponent's discard pile. Why are we talking about discard pile now? Is that going to be a mechanic that if you run out of cards, you will be drawing from the discarded ones, and if you draw as Jinx, you might not draw anything at all, or you will get punished for drawing that? Interesting to see. Ranchu, attack all enemies, apply weak for 2 turns. Attacking all enemies is a very interesting mechanic, because if you build the right team to attack all enemies, maybe AoE will become the meta. Maybe there will be something to counter it, or have a more sustainable team with heals, if heals are still in the game. But again, 2 cost card. Navaga, if initial, deal 15 more damage, same as it works right now. And then Shrimp, if initial, this attack targets the furthest enemy. So it's interesting to see how they progress with the initial, because they have said that the statistics that we currently know, which is the health, morale, speed, and the other one that I forgot, they said that they will be removing them. Every Axie will start with the same base health and potentially base speed. So I wonder how initial will actually work. Maybe they will remove what they have said based on the speed, and aquas and birds will still be quicker to apply that initial. And then plant cards. Carrot, 60 damage. It gains 1 energy if this attack causes HP loss to the target. So it's no longer a defensive prediction, it's more of an offensive card. Cattail becomes a 1 cost that deals 50 damage, and it applies taunt to this Axie for 4 turns. That is a long taunt. If you play a mid lane plant and you have a taunt for 4 rounds, then your front lane is very open to dealing damage. You can have a very high damage front lane. Hatsune, target any ally. Next turn after the target is attacked, you apply fear to the attacker for 4 turns. So A mechanic that I just thought of right here, you play a Curtail plant mid lane that has taunt, and you use Hatsune from the front lane that targets the Curtail plant, and if that mid lane Curtail plant is attacked, they are now feared. Would it be a waste of energy to play Hatsune like that? Maybe not, maybe yes, who knows. Yam is now a 0 cost that only deals 5 damage, and it attacks and applies 2 poison to all enemies. All enemies! Just imagine applying poison to all enemies, and then put that together with Gila, which deals damage to all enemies, and it deals 2 bonus damage per poison stack. So maybe having a double Yam and a Gila backlane is something worth exploring. Potato Leaf gains stealth if there is at least 1 living ally. I wonder what stealth is. Does it just make it untargetable? That could be a thing, just to avoid some damage throughout the game. Hotbot, shuffle 3 burns into your opponent's discard card. Again, discard pile might be a mechanic that we have to watch out. Once the deck runs out, people will be drawing from the discard pile. That's my take on it. If you have a different take, let me know in the comment section down below. But overall, a very good article to read through. It gets you excited for the game, it gets you excited for what's coming and what might be the meta and the mechanics within the game. Looks like a lot of things are changing. I actually like the idea to have cards only have one stat, which is you either play a defensive card or you play an offensive. Much easier to balance, much easier for people to join the game. It's simple to see. You play a 1 energy cost, it has 50 attack, and it has some sort of a description or utility with it. Much simpler, easier to get into the game, to spread the game throughout the community and get it to new people. So in my opinion, good set of cards. Good set of cards. Looks like none of them are quote-unquote useless, but we will have to see how the meta progresses throughout the Origin Season 0 or the Alpha Season that we will see, and see if those cards actually make it to the live game or whether they will be changed more throughout the time. If you guys have any opinion on what these cards might look like in the official Axie Origin launch, or which cards you think are clearly OP, let me know in the comment section down below. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily playthrough and content, and I will see you in the next one.